Pisces, 2024 is a year that has an emphasis on money. The good news is that I feel like this is a year where you're really going to be intentional about finding new ways of making money. And I feel like you're willing to be a little risky, you're willing to be a little bold and dynamic in order to change your financial situation. And the astrology will do nothing but oblige. If you want to know more about what 2024 has in store for you, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you are new around here, welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and I'm the founder of divinefeminineworks, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So welcome to my 2024 Astro Forecast series. So I wanted to preface this video by letting you know that all of these videos, all 12 of these videos, are done by rising sign, because that's what's going to give you the most accurate astrological information. Now, if you have no idea what your rising sign is, first thing you're going to want to do is check out this video right here that explains everything about your big three, including your rising sign. And then the second thing you'll want to do is go to a site like astro.com or astro-seek.com. All you'll need to do is put in your birth time, location, and date. And when it comes to the time, you're going to want to be as precise as you possibly can, because that will give you the most accurate information. You're going to put in those three things. You will get a natal chart generated for you, and your rising sign will be labeled as the ascendant, either the AS or ASC. That way, you'll be able to check out the video that is just right for you. All right, so without further ado, let's get into it. All right, Pisces. So if you watched my 2024 general astro forecast, and if you didn't, the link to that video will be in the description box below. I talk about 4 themes that are going to be transpiring for all of us throughout the year. And those themes are expansion, evolution, relation, and conservation. So let's first talk about expansion. And expansion has everything to do with Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is actually your ruling planet. So Jupiter's transits tend to affect you and impact you probably more than others. You and Sagittarius share that same quality, right? So Jupiter will be moving from Taurus to Gemini. And while in Taurus, it will have an important conjunction with Uranus. All right. So for you, Taurus is your third house. And your third house has a lot to do with ideas, communication. It also deals with siblings and your immediate environment. So suffice it to say, when Jupiter is in Taurus, it's really trying to expand you out of your comfort zone, literally out of your immediate environment, but always in a positive way. Although Jupiter's expansion may seem quick, it may seem sudden, it may seem over the top, perhaps overwhelming, it's always meant to be a positive thing. So this may find new opportunities outside of your immediate environment. Maybe you're traveling more, and perhaps this travel is long distance, although it could be short distance also. You can have these really beneficial short distance trips that are quite positive in your life. But by and large, Jupiter may be expanding how you think and perhaps what you think about. Jupiter has a twinge of spirituality to it. So you may be learning new spiritual practices, right? And these spiritual practices may be things that you can immediately use that will benefit your life and bring positivity to you, right? Now, while Jupiter is in Taurus, it's also going to conjunct Uranus. So you may have some surprisingly good news about something going on in your neighborhood, or good news regarding your siblings, or perhaps good news with respect to something that you're learning, or just good news in general, because the third house has everything to do with communication. Thereafter, when Jupiter moves from Taurus, it will enter Gemini. And this is your 4th house of home, family and domestic affairs. And so come May of 2024, this area of life will receive blessings. It will receive positive energy, and you will be, I want to say forced, but you're not going to be forced. You're going to be expanded in this area. Perhaps the way that you think about family, the thoughts that you have about maybe starting a family, maybe things having to do with your physical home, your physical space. You may start thinking more expansively, and Jupiter just wants to expand you and bless you in this area. And again, because Jupiter's your ruling sign, or your ruling planet, I should say, you are going to feel this expansion a lot more than others. Next up is evolution, and this has everything to do with Pluto. Now, Pluto is a major player this year because Pluto is actually going to be changing signs, which is a big deal because Pluto doesn't change shine. Tongue-tied, right? Because Pluto doesn't change signs frequently, right? As a matter of fact, when Pluto moves into Aquarius this year, it will remain there for 20 years. So Pluto moves very slowly, all right? So for you, this is all going down in the arena of your 12th house. This is a house that may feel familiar to you because the energy of Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac and the 12th house being the last house in the astrology wheel, they sort of have the same sort of energy signature. Suffice it to say, your very essence of who you are, your spirit, your soul, your spirituality even may be undergoing a transformation once Pluto moves into Aquarius. And it may be taking on a more futuristic sort of tone. You know, Aquarius is intellectual, it's forward-looking, it's future-oriented, and has a lot to do with innovation and invention. So you may be implementing new innovations or inventions that pertain to your spirituality. You just may be thinking about the future from a more spiritual sort of place. However, your thoughts about spirituality, your intellect as it pertains to spirituality are going to begin to undergo a transformation, and Pluto will move into Aquarius in January of 2024. Now, between September and November, Pluto is going to dip back into Capricorn for a little bit to tie up any loose ends and decimate anything that's still standing that does not serve you, all right? And for you, Capricorn is your 11th house of friendships and goals. So if you have friends still, I want to say friendships that are still lying around, right? If you're holding on to friendships that are not good for you, that are not equitable, you know, any sort of not so good friendships, I feel like when Pluto goes back into Capricorn, it's going to end those, or at least change the dynamic of that friendship. Your goals and what you aspire to in life has also undergone a serious transformation since Pluto has been in Capricorn. And now that Pluto will be ending its stint in Capricorn for good, at least in our lifetime, how you think about your life, the dreams that you have for yourself may be completely different than they were, let's say, 5 years ago. But by and large, when Pluto makes that short stint back into Capricorn between September and November, whatever is not serving you in this area of life will likely fall by the wayside or be transformed forever. Next is what I like to call relation, and this has everything to do with the nodes. So this year, the North Node will remain in Aries and the South Node will remain in Libra. The Aries-Libra axis has everything to do with relationships. Aries is me, Libra is we. So this nodal axis and the eclipses that happen in Aries and Libra will have this undercurrent of relationships to it, all right? So for you, Aries is your second house. So this has everything to do with money. Actually, your personal finances, okay? So with the North Node going through Aries, this is going to be a time when you are trying to find new income streams, more money, perhaps a new job that's more in alignment with where you are headed. Think of the North Node as like your North Star. It's like your guiding light. Has this energy of destiny and fate to it. So with the North Node in Aries, this is highlighting new income streams, new money that's more in alignment with who you truly are and where you are truly meant to go and who you are meant to be, right? Could be a very exciting time with that. Now, the South Node is in Libra, and that has everything to do with shared resources and debt, all right? So when the South Node is going through Libra, it's sort of cleaning house with respect to that. Now, the 8th house also covers intimacy. So things like sex and well, intimacy is sex, right? Among other things. But with the South Node going through Libra, perhaps there's a cleanup with your intimate relationships, right? There could also be a cleanup of debt, especially debt that isn't necessarily balanced, right? That area of life, you may find that there are endings or certain karmic cycles that are ending when it comes to debt and intimacy, all right? Now, again, where the North and the South Node are is where the eclipses happen, with the exception of one lone eclipse that's going down in Pisces in September. Now, once the nodes finish going through Aries and Libra, they're going to shift into Pisces and Virgo. And so this lone eclipse in September is going to give you a preview of what that's going to be like. And that's going to be in 25 through 2026. So Pisces happens to be your first house. So when this lunar eclipse goes down in September, it's going to highlight everything having to do with you. A lot of yourself, your physical body, how you think, your outlook on the world is going to be highlighted at this eclipse. And understand that in 2025 to 2026, this area of self, this area of life is going to be highlighted in a major way because you're going to have tag team eclipses at that time. All right. So suffice to say, when it comes to relationships, everything having to do with relationships has a lot to do with money for you this year, especially as the nodes make their way through Aries and Libra. The fourth topic that I will talk about is the topic of conservation. And this has everything to do with Mars, specifically when Mars goes retrograde. So Mars is the planet of physical force, energy, endurance, and stamina. And so when it goes retrograde, this is the time where we literally rest and we conserve our energy. I like to think of Mars retrograde as a time when we sort of reflect on the energy that we've put out there and see what comes back to us. So Mars isn't going to go retrograde until the very end of 2024, from December 2024 until January of 2025. And it will begin its retrograde cycle in the sign of Leo, and then it'll retrograde back into Cancer in January 2025. So for you, Leo is your 6th house of work and health. Now, the 6th house covers your daily job, your 9 to 5, your daily responsibilities, and also covers your physical and sometimes even your mental health as well. So when Mars goes retrograde at the end of 2024, this is going to be a time when you're not going to want to start anything new. This is not the time to start a new job, start a new side hustle, or add anything extra to your daily routine. Because the 6th house covers health as well, this is going to be a time when you literally want to conserve your physical energy. You're going to want to rest and you're going to want to recharge your batteries, all right? Now, when Mars retrogrades into Cancer, this is going to go into your 5th house of self-expression. Now, the 5th house also covers romance, dating, children, and entertainment. It's sort of our fun house. So when Mars goes retrograde in your 5th house, this is the time when you're not going to want to start a new relationship. You may not want to start anything new with kids. It may be a time where you may not want to conceive. Maybe a time that you just want to chill and kind of do a little less entertaining, a little less leisure. It's going to be a literal time where you rest. All right. Next up, let's talk about money, since most people want to know about money. But as a matter of fact, I've already talked about money for you, Pisces, because you've got your 2nd house of personal finances, which is Aries, and your 8th house of shared finances, which is Libra. That's exactly where the North and the South Node are. So on the one hand, when it comes to your personal finances, it's like the universe is aligning you with ways to make money, perhaps new ways of making money that's in alignment with who you are, who you're meant to be, and what you're supposed to be doing. And then on the other hand, with shared resources, when it comes to debt, universe is kind of cleaning this area of your life up, whatever is not equitable, right? This is going to be a time when you definitely want to go through your statements. You want to go through your credit reports, see what needs to come off, see what needs to come out of collections. This is going to be a year where you really clean up your debt, all right? So again, for you, 2024 is a year that has a heavy emphasis on money, but in a good way. I feel like once 2024 is said and done, I think your financial situation, especially if you heed what I am saying in this video, I think that your financial situation is going to be a lot more positive. Next up, let's talk about love. All right. So to ascertain what your love life is going to be looking like in 2024, we have to look at two different houses. The 5th house of romance and dating, and I think I mentioned this before, and the 7th house of commitment and partnership. So first up, your 5th house of romance and dating, which is Cancer. So I mentioned before that Mars will be going retrograde in Cancer in January of 2025. So it's at that time that you're not going to want to start anything new, starting new relationships, all that good stuff, right? But that's 2025. So what about 2024? Now, other than that, there's nothing significantly going on in the sign of Cancer this year. So you would look to the ruler of Cancer to determine what the year is going to look like. And the ruler of Cancer is the moon. Now, the moon is very regular. It does not go retrograde. It has the same regular schedule. So in terms of your dating life, you're going to want to attune it to the lunar cycle, number one. So when you are trying to look or put yourself out there when it comes to dating, you would do that during the waxing phase. And perhaps when it's during the waning phase, you step into a vibration of receiving, right? But apart from the lunar cycle, you're also going to want to take a look at the eclipses. The eclipses are going to directly impact what your dating and romantic life look like this year. So while I'm not going to go into detail as to each of the eclipses, I'll do that as the year progresses. Suffice it to say, you're going to want to look at the eclipses to ascertain what your dating and romantic life will look like. Then next up, we talk about marriage and commitment. And for you, that is Virgo. Now, again, there's nothing significant going down in the sign of Virgo this year. So we look to the ruler of Virgo to ascertain what 2024 is going to look like in terms of marriage and commitment. Now, the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. So whatever Mercury is doing this year will directly impact your 7th house of marriage and commitment. Now, you're going to want to pay special attention to Mercury retrogrades because, again, those are going to directly impact your marriage and your commitments. Now, in 2024, each Mercury retrograde is going to be going down in a fire sign. This is important because fire is all about creation. It's about starting something new or reviving something, right? So when Mercury is retrograde, these are going to be the times when you're going to want to dial back on the commitment. This may not be the time to start something new with relationships. It also may be a time when things from the past with relationships come back around in your life, okay? So when it comes to commitments, you're going to want to follow Mercury's transits, specifically when Mercury goes retrograde, to ascertain what your commitments and partnerships will look like this year. And last but not least, let's discuss career and work. So to ascertain your work situation for 2024, we also look at two houses. The 6th house of work and health, which covers your regular 9-to-5 job, and your 10th house of career, which covers your career, your vocation, or your life's purpose in some instances. All right. So first up, your 6th house of work and health, and that is going to be Leo. So again, Leo is going to receive Mars retrograde at the end of 2024. So that means that in December of 2024, this is going to be a time when you may not want to look for a new job, when you may not want to take on any more responsibilities, especially as it relates to your day-to-day life, right? It's going to be a time when you rest, relax, and you reflect on the energy that you put out and see what comes back to you, all right? But by and large, nothing else is really going on with Leo. So because Leo is ruled by the sun, we track the transits of the sun because that transit of the sun is going to directly impact your work life and your day-to-day routine. Especially, you're going to want to look at the eclipses. The eclipses are going to have a significant impact on your work, your job, your daily routine, okay? Then finally, when it comes to your career, your 10th house of career is Sagittarius, okay? So Sagittarius, there's nothing spectacular going on in the sign of Sagittarius this year. However, like I said before, with everything else, we look to the ruler of Sagittarius to ascertain your career situation. And the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter. So again, Jupiter affects you profoundly because Jupiter is also one of your ruling planets. But Jupiter is going from Taurus to Gemini this year. So your 3rd and your 4th house. Your 3rd house covers ideas and communication. Your 4th house covers family, home, and domestic affairs. So when Jupiter is making the transit between your 3rd and 4th house, this is also going to impact your career. So long story short, I feel like the way that you think, positive thinking, and I know that sounds overly simplistic, but Jupiter expands things, right? And it's all about optimism and hope. Positive thinking will directly impact your career, especially because Jupiter is your ruling planet. There's also something to do with home, with family, that also may impact your career. So maybe something having to do with real estate or architecture, or maybe mortgages or something like that may have an impact on your career this year, okay? Or your family. Maybe you get a job with a family member, or maybe something happens with a close family member that directly impacts your career, all right? Either way, how you think about your career, your home life, and maybe your relationship with your family members are going to have a direct impact on your career this year. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. All right, my love. So that concludes your edition of the 2024 yearly astro forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this new year. Now, if you want to know more about what 2024 has in store for you, then you will definitely want to schedule a consultation with me for my 2024 annual reading. Not only do I read your natal chart for filth, but I also incorporate the transits of 2024 so you know what to expect and how to prepare. I wrap that up and put it all into a wonderful written report. Plus, we get a 60-minute online consultation where you can ask as many questions as you want. I pull cards from Spirit, and it is a whole vibe, all right? Slots are limited, so you definitely want to schedule that ASAP. The link will be in the description box below, and it will also be tagged to this video. I wish you nothing but the absolute best that life has to offer for 2024 and beyond. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have an amazing year, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.